everyone, welcome to iExamB, and I'll be continuing with our series with respect to what to study from the various law subjects if you are preparing and appearing for the various competitive law exams. So इससे related already हमने अपना series start कर दिया है जिसमें कि मैंने आपके साथ discuss किए हैं कुछ important sections, provisions जो कि आपको different acts में पढ़ने हैं thoroughly because the chances of questions coming from those areas is more in comparison to the others which I have been constantly reminding you all. And आज इस वीडियो में भी मैं एक नए लॉ सब्जेक्ट, एक नए एक्ट के इम्पोर्टेंट प्रोविजंस, इम्पोर्टेंट सेक्शंस को डिस्कस करने वाली हूँ जो कि बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. बट बिफोर वी मूव अहेड विद आवर डिस्कशन, लेट मी रिमाइंड यू टू सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल एंड प्रेस ऑन द बेल आइकन so that you can stay tuned and stay updated. And in case if you have missed to watch all the previous videos which we have come up with respect to what to study from the various law subjects or from the various acts, then you can go to the description of this particular video where you will find the link to all those videos which we have come up in this particular series. So stay tuned and stay updated. Now moving on to our today's discussion. तो इस वीडियो में मैंने आपको बोला आज मैं एक नए एक्ट से रिलेटेड इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोविजंस डिस्कस करने वाली हूँ and that is will be seeing what to study from the Banking Regulations Act. So this is one of the important acts if you are appearing for any of the banking sector exams. अब इस particular act में कौन कौन से important provisions है, topics है, concepts है which you need to emphasize. We'll be discussing that in this particular video. But before that, let's discuss what Banking Regulation Act is all about. तो अगर हम Banking Regulation Act की बात करें तो ये एक ऐसा law है which is basically providing for the regulation of the entire banking sector in India, जो पूरा banking का ambit है, the banking sector. So if we talk about the objective of the Banking Regulation Act, then it is basically one of the laws which is related to the regulation of the entire banking sector in India, how they are basically to be managed, functioned, how they will be regulated, all those aspects. So basically एक legal framework वो provide करता है इन सभी चीजों से related कि कैसे एक बैंक जो है function करेगा, how it will be managed and regulated and all those aspects are being taken care by the Banking Regulation Act. And so any banking company or any company going ahead and willing to do the business of banking in India, they have to comply with this particular act first and foremost. Now if we move on to the important provisions to be focused from Banking Regulation Act, तो आप देख सकते हो section 5 जो आपका interpretation है, that is basically the definition section under the Banking Regulation Act that you have to thoroughly understand. Then section 6 provide करता है कि वो कौन कौन से business है जिसमें कि banking company basically engage कर सकती है, तो वो एक important provision है. And section 7 on the other hand it is providing कि जो banking companies है they are actually required to use either of these words in their name. So section 7 उससे related provision lay down करता है. Then आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो section 10 BP, section 21, 35A, 36AA, 36AB and 47A. These are some of the very important powers with respect to the Reserve Bank of India which it has been vested under the Banking Regulation Act. तो Banking Regulation Act के अंदर Reserve Bank को कुछ important powers दिए गए हैं, whether it be with respect to controlling the advances by the banking companies or with respect to giving directions, imposing penalty and all those things. That power has been given to the RBI under this particular act. ये सारे sections बहुत ही important है जो कि आपको thoroughly करना है. Then 11 and 12 is basically talking about the requirements with respect to the minimum paid capital and reserves and how paid up capital, subscribed capital, authorized capital, voting rights of the shareholders and all that will be regulated. All those aspects have been covered under section 12. तो ये दो important sections again आपके यहाँ पे हैं. Moving ahead, you can see section 15 that is talking about there are certain restrictions with respect to the banking companies going ahead and paying the dividend to its shareholders. So वो कौन कौन से restrictions हैं that are there with respect to payment of dividend section 15 में है, ये important है आपका. Then 17 and 18 बात करता है रिजर्व फंड के बारे में और कैश रिजर्व के बारे में with respect to the banking companies. Then section 21 is talking about what are the various restrictions that are there with respect to the banking company with respect to the loans and advances which they need to take care of. So that is again one of the important sections. Next important section आप देख सकते हो section 21A है जिसमें कि rate of interest जो भी charge करेगी banking companies that are not actually subjected to any kind of scrutiny by court and all उससे रिलेटेड प्रोविजन है. सो क्या बेसिकली कोर्ट्स के पास पावर है कि वो स्क्रूटनी कर सकती है ये रेट्स ऑफ इंटरेस्ट जो बैंकिंग कंपनी चार्ज करते हैं या नहीं कर सकते हैं, एंड ऑल द रिलेटेड एस्पेक्ट्स. 22 to 24. So 22, 23 and 24 they are important over here. That is talking about the licensing with respect to banking companies, how the license has to be taken, who will be granting the license to the banking companies for going ahead and doing the business of banking. Then what are the restrictions with respect to banking companies related to new place of business or with respect to transferring of the existing place of business and all. And then there is section 24 which is talking about the maintenance of percentage of assets. So certain percentage of assets and all that is to be maintained by the banking companies in India and that is being dealt under section 24. 26 basically provide करता है provisions with respect to जो भी unclaimed deposits and all है, and 29 is talking about the accounts and balance sheet with respect to the banking company. So ये सब बहुत ही important sections है. आप banking regulation act जब देखोगे तो around 56 sections are there. Out of those 56 sections, these are the very very important sections. You have to be very thorough with them. Then moving ahead, you can see 36A, E and 36AF which is talking about the powers with respect to the central government, जहाँ पे कि central government के पास power है कि वो acquire कर सकती है undertaking of the banking company. कुछ ऐसे circumstances है उसमें. तो basically वो certain cases या circumstances क्या है, या फिर with respect to going ahead and making scheme and all, that is the power which has been vested to the central government. Then section 39 बात करता है reserve bank to be the official liquidator and उससे related यहाँ पे important provisions इस particular section में है. Then कुछ ऐसे special provisions है जो कि private banking companies पे applicable है, वो section 49 में है. तो वो आपका again important है with respect to the private banking companies. Then 49A is talking about there are certain restrictions on acceptance of deposit withdrawal by check. So if there is any acceptance of deposit that is withdrawal by check, what are the restrictions with respect to those and all, वो सारे provisions इस particular section में है. 49B is talking about how the banking companies they can go ahead and change their name, all the compliances and provisions with respect to that. And then lastly comes section 56 that is talking about the act to apply to the cooperative societies and that will be actually applicable subject to certain modifications and all. So these are the various important provisions sections which you have to specifically focus under the Banking Regulation Act. अब Banking Regulation Act जैसा मैंने आपको पहले बोला banking related exams में आएंगे. So if you are preparing or going to appear for the IBPS SO, IBPS RRB and all RBI exam, तो ये basically आपका बहुत important subject हो जाता है. So with this we come to an end of our today's discussion. So stay tuned and stay updated.